So right now we're going to fillet up this northern that we caught, and we're going to take the Y bones out too. So what I'm planning on doing here is I'm going to make a cut right behind the gills here, and I'm going to go at slight angle because the meat on the back here goes up towards the head a little bit. And then some people, they'll eat the belly meat. I've heard other people that don't eat the belly meat. What I typically do is I'm going to cut right along this dotted part here where it turns from green and yellow to the white part. And we're going to go over the fin here and then bring it back, and then ultimately right back to the tail. So here we go. We're going to make a cut here at this angle. We're going to go right down to about the backbone, and then we're going to take and we're going to just cut that right on that transition where the color goes from green and yellow to the white. Then I just take it back to there, and then we start back up at the top, turn the knife, and you can hear the Y bones cutting there. And then we'll just go right along the backbone, right up to the tail. And what I like to do is once I get to the tail, I'm going to take and I'm going to skin about 2 inches of that tail, and then I cut that part off. So that when it comes to skinning time, I can just get my knife started and then we can skin that pretty easily. Now we'll do the other side. And we'll get along the belly. Give it a little turn and follow the backbone. And there we have 2 fillets and very little meat left on this northern. Okay, second step is going to be taking out the ribs. So we got some rib bones here. We're just going to start on the top and we're just going to work our way right underneath them. Now, I've seen guys use electric fillet knives, and I am not skilled enough to use an electric fillet knife. I think I would end up wasting an awful lot of meat if I used one of them. And there's one de-ribbed fillet. And there's number 2 fillet. Let's see. So now for the Y bones. If you've ever cut a fillet of a northern off, you'll notice right along just above the center line here, there's a strip of the bones. They stick up, and if you run your finger back and forth across here, you'll feel them pretty easily. Those are the Y bones. And how they work is, if you look at the end of the fillet, they're going to come down and they're going to come back towards the top of the fish. So this would be the back of the fish, and they're going to work, so again, they're coming down towards the top of the fish. So we need to get this chunk of meat that's above here, and then we're also going to get underneath them, and we're going to try and just take the Y bones out and leave as much meat as we can. So we're going to make a slight cut right above the Y bones until you can just feel the blade touching them. And then once we bring the blade down, we're going to turn it so that it goes towards the top of the fish, or the back, which this would be the back again. And we're just going to slowly bring the blade up through there. A sharp blade makes a big difference when you're cutting out Y bones. It helps it helps a lot. We'll put it that way.
There we go. Comic relief.
So now this one, we went down the middle of the fillet, and then what we're doing is we're turning the knife horizontal once we get down there so that we can go right underneath the bottom of the Y bones. And it could take quite a few passes, but ultimately we're going to end up with as much meat as we can. I won't stop there, so that's all we have for waste. There's a little bit of meat, but for the amount of bones that we're taking out of there, the rest of the meat is going to be quite enjoyable without those in there. Run my hand past, make sure that we didn't miss any. Looks good. And then we'll do the second one, the same method. Back facing away from us, and then we'll start working our way above and below. So this, I think I'll just fast forward through this, being we just did the other one.
It helps tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Now I got it in my head.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
And there we have fillet number 2 without any bones. So the last step we're going to do is, if you remember that little flap that we left, we're going to grab onto that, and then we're just going to angle our knife down a little bit so we're scraping along the skin there. And then we're going to peel the skin away from the meat. And what I always do is I'll just leave this top corner attached, and then I'm going to leave about a 2-inch piece so that if we bring this home, then if we get stopped by anybody, we have proof that we have a Northern. And after it gets thawed out from the freezer, the next time we eat it, we can grab onto that flap, we can peel that off from the fillet, super easy. Otherwise, if you leave this part attached, sometimes it can be difficult. And there we have 2 Northern fillets that have the Y bones taken out, one nice chunk of meat. There's so many things you can do with a Northern fillet. You can pickle them, you can smoke them, you can fry them, you can, I'm starting to sound like Forrest Gump here, but with a Northern fillet, there's so many things that you can do, especially once you get the Y bones out. It creates a fabulous slab of meat, and it's extremely tasty. So some guys don't like to rinse their fish fillets off. I particularly do like to make sure that we don't have any grass or any of the excess stuff on there. Just make sure it's a nice clean fillet of fish. Does it get any better than that? Now I'm going to freeze these fillets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water, and what that's going to do is it's going to prevent it from getting freezer burnt. So if we have water surrounding the fillets, we should not end up with any freezer burnt fillets. Once we get all the air out of here and then get it into the freezer, and it'll be ready for later. Just like that. Ready for transport. And don't forget, you always want to make sure that you clean up your mess once you're done. Leave it nice and clean for the next person that needs to use it. So there we have a northern, perfectly filleted, ready to eat. So goodbye for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.